So today I'm going to be cutting some hydrangea, lavender, and dahlias for drying them. So I was just going to show you how I cut them and then how we go down in the basement and hang them up for drying them. So in my landscape I have a whole bunch of hydrangeas. So the ones we're going to start with right now are over here. So the ones that we're going to cut off today are all endless summer. So they're like this, like, you know, bluish purple, I guess, or whatever. And so I'm very new at cutting hydrangea. We've had these hydrangea bushes in our landscape for years, like, oh my gosh, like probably over 10 years. And just last year, for the first time ever, is the first time that we got them to bloom. So last year we had just a few blooms on them, and this year we have more. So I'm very unfamiliar with cutting endless summer hydrangeas, so I'm kind of learning as I go. So I guess just on instinct, and from what I learned a little bit last year on cutting them, is you want to look for that they're all the way, like, you know, bloomed out. See how that one's like all the way, you know, bloomed out and ready. This one I probably wouldn't cut yet because, you know, it still has some ways to go. So I'm just gonna kind of look for the ones that are all the way bloomed out and cut them. And I'm not really, like, I'm not gonna put these in a bouquet or anything. I'm just gonna hang them upside down to dry and then eventually just use the flower. So I don't really care what length the stem is. That doesn't matter to me because I'm not, like, you know, putting them in a bouquet or whatever. So I'm just gonna kind of go around. Like this guy, look at this. This one's totally bloomed out. That's totally, I would say, well, almost bloomed out. And it's still like super short. That's fine. It doesn't matter because I'm just using it for the head for resin stuff, for like making resin stuff after we dry it. I watched a video, Erin from Florette, she's like a YouTube lady. My sister got me hooked on her. She said that when you're cutting a shrub, you're not supposed to cut more than 1/3 of it, their blooms at a time. I don't really know why, but that's what she said. I'm sure I knew why, but I forgot. So I always try to think that too, like I'll count in my head, like how many blooms are going right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, let's say. So what's 1/3 of 12, Zeke?
4.
4. Well, that's it. I already got my 4. We'll just do a couple more. Because, I mean, we have to get them. Right? Because, okay, so I don't know, maybe we should just use that as a guideline. So anyway, okay, so I'm just gonna keep getting a few that I think are ready to go. And maybe that one. Okay, we'll be done with this. So we got about that many out of there. So then what I do is I'll try to, you know, strip the leaves a little bit. Should have got my bucket. Put it back in there. And then I usually have like a rubber band around my wrist before I start. And then I just kind of, you know, do that and then set it down and keep going. So we'll set that here just for now. And then this one, okay, this one has a ton of blooms on it, so I'm really feeling like we can go to town on this one, right? What do you think, Zeke?
Yeah.
Okay. We're kind of already getting into the sun, so some of them are already wilting, but that won't matter. They're gonna be hung upside down soon anyway. So, okay, I feel like that's enough. I should probably rubber band that because they kind of like a lot of space when they're drying. So I don't like to, you know, make too big of bunches when we're drying, you know. When we figured out last year how to get them to bloom, we started feeding them. I know maybe that's like a Captain Obvious, but we never even thought of it. So we never fed them or anything. Like we never gave them any, I don't even know what it is. I could look it up. But, and then I was talking to Jeff, my husband, and I'm like, you know, it would be so cool if we could actually get like the 20 endless summer hydrangeas in our yard to actually bloom. Do you know how cool that would be in jewelry and resin stuff? And then he was looking into it, and he found this feed stuff, you know, to give them because they need a certain like soil, whatever, to bloom. So last year he tried it, but it was kind of later in the season, you know. It was like late summer, and I think you're supposed to feed them in the spring. So last year when we tried it for the first time, it was late, you know, later in the summer, and he tried it, and we actually got some to bloom. And we were like, oh my gosh, it works. So then this year, we fed them right away in the spring, and now they're like for real blooming, which is so cool. So I've never had this many hydrangeas ever, or blooms off the hydrangeas ever. It's just so exciting. So, okay, we'll go down here and get a few more. The ones on these bushes are kind of a little bit more purple, I'm noticing. The ones that we were cutting on over there were a little bit more blue, I feel like. So that's kind of cool that these are a little bit different color. And I don't really remember drying too many purple last year, so I'm kind of excited about this, that we're gonna see what they're gonna look like when they dry. But then there's blue on there too. Look at all the different colors. Isn't that cool? Oh, I just love them. Oh, and another thing I guess I should share while I'm thinking of it is they bloom on old wood. So Zeke, maybe you can do a close-up in here. Do you see like these sticks? All these sticks? They're blooming, if you notice. Well, I'm sorry. See how they're blooming on old wood? Sorry. So you don't really, in the spring, I guess, you don't want to cut these really ugly sticks that are sticking up. Like, that's your instinct. And I swear I was cutting them. Like years ago when I first got these, I would just go in and cut all the sticks off. And then I was researching it, and it's like, no, they bloom on old wood from the year before. Don't cut the old wood. So I didn't, and look what's happening. They're blooming. I was so frustrated with them at one point a few years ago because they weren't blooming, you know, that I almost wanted to rip them all out and just do something new. Like, obviously I don't know how to do hydrangeas. Oh, and then one time I read too that there is zone 6, and where we live is a 5B, so they'll only bloom in like a zone 6 or higher. So I was like, well, so they'll come back every year, but they won't bloom. So I was just so confused about it. And then now I know that you don't cut the sticks, even if they're ugly in the spring, and you have to feed them. I wonder if I could show you what it looks like that Jeff puts on them in the spring. Yeah, Zeke, show them. Okay, come over here. See all that powder down there? See this? See all this right here? All this stuff? That is what Jeff dumps on them all in the spring. I don't know what it is, but it's some sort of like a feed, a fertilizer. And that's how we get them to bloom. Is they all have like a pile of that stuff on them. And we can be done. I just gotta grab these down here. And then we'll go on to the lavender. I probably waited too long on this because these are kind of almost going a little past. So that's kind of too bad. Some of them are a little brown, I see. See that? But they'll still dry fine. So there's one. Oh, rubber band broke. Okay, I'll get some more later. But basically, that's how we do the lavender. That was just one bunch, for example, but I can get some later. I'm out of, well, okay, I'll just get one more and then I'll stop. I'm just out of rubber bands around my wrist, but it's fine. I should get that loop in. Okay, now we're gonna get the Dahlia one and then we'll go hang them in the basement. So we're just gonna cut one more thing. I know this probably is like, why are we in the greenhouse? But so my husband got me this Dahlia planter for Mother's Day and I love it so much, and I tried to dry it and it works so good for drying, so I just put it in the greenhouse and it blooms like crazy. We just have been drying it and then making like resin stuff out of it. So I just come in and get the blooms off of it every, like, I don't know, probably once a week, and then go hang it in the basement. So this planter was a present, and I just thought, well, it's serving a really good purpose for me, and I really like it, and it just blooms like crazy. Like, so cool how much it blooms. And even the yellow, I can use that yellow and orange too in resin stuff, which is kind of cool. Maybe just a couple more. All right, and then I will, that one's not quite done. I'll just gather them up, and then I forgot my rubber bands, they're in the wagon. So we'll just go kind of put them in little bunches in the wagon quick. All right, now we're gonna go hang them up in the basement for drying. All right, so we're down in our basement, and what I do is I just grab my husband's weight bench and slide it over. And last year I put a whole bunch of like nails up in the rafters, so I just grab our buckets or our bunches that we just cut, like this lavender, for example. And then I just stand up here and put it on a nail that I already pounded in earlier, or whatever, like that. And then we just kind of hang them on there. We can do these little Dahlia ones that we got from our Mother's Day planter. I got three little bunches, and I wanted to actually show you this. So here. So this is the same exact plant. This is when we just cut it and we hang it, and this is dry and ready for resin. So that's kind of, from start to finish what happens. It's kind of cool that it dries more darker. Isn't that interesting? So that was from, oh shoot. These are just so little, they kind of can fall. Put that back up there. Okay, so we'll continue on. So I just hang them up here on the nails to dry, like that. And then we just have our hydrangeas last. There's one. That was a big bunch. Put them right here. Oh, those are so pretty. Wow. One more, I think. And I found another Dahlia one, so we'll just put that up there. So, okay, and then I want to show you the Dahlia, like this purple one. Oh, here's peonies. That's peonies drying. They're ready. The Dahlia that I just used in resin this morning, just so you can see kind of like what it looks like in resin. So here's a Dahlia that, you know, we took, and then you just take like, you know, the petals off like that, and then you can put it in resin stuff. So that kind of shows you, these are all sun catchers that I made this morning. They're really wet still. But so that kind of gives you an example of the process of cutting, drying, and then turning it into something. It's kind of cool. And then I did little mini sun catchers over there, all that purple stuff in there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's all Dahlias too. So, okay, well, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope you found that maybe interesting watching us dry the hydrangea and the lavender and the dahlia planter. And then this one just fell out, so this I'll lay on the table and it'll dry just like that on the table too. So sometimes I'll do that if I have one that like fell out. But okay, so anyway, thanks a lot, and hope you have a great day. Bye.